Ashton, have you been watching House of Dragons at all?
I haven't. I'm not the biggest Game of Thrones fan, to be honest.
I
I'm
am
not either.
I didn't watch Game of Thrones at all, but I did watch the first episode of House of Dragons, and there's been quite a stir. Okay, I'm gonna read this article because I love the female at the Daily Mail. This is just like the news for women page, which is it's basically like fashion and like Meghan Markle. They're happy with a flying dragon, but not a rich black guy. House of the Dragon star Steve Toussaint hits out at racist trolls who claimed a white actor should have been cast in the role to match George R. R. Martin's description. So I didn't know what to think of this. Did you watch Game of Thrones, Cam?
Yeah, so I watched Game of Thrones and I watched House of Dragon, and I'm gonna be honest, I thought nothing of this until this guy was in the news talking about it. To be honest, I feel like 99% of people could give two shits that he's a black
Yeah.
dude, and one troll hopped in his Instagram DMs and was like, black guy," and he like now it's all over the news. I'm gonna be honest, I feel like no one gives a damn because I sure don't, and I usually give a damn about certain things.
Yeah, I feel like some people they jump at the chance to make something about race
Yep.
instead of like, all right, I can understand if people feel like this isn't part of the author's vision. But again, like who
Well,
gives a
George R. R.
crap?
Martin, he's working on this show with them, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, like, why does it matter? Like, for example, like, I have an issue with what they're doing with Tolkien's work. I don't even care about the races of the actors or the characters, whatnot. What bothers me is that they didn't even get the rights to Silmarillion, so they basically wrote a whole new, like, pre-story and just smacked Tolkien's name on it, and that's what bothers me. But if, like,
Yeah.
George R. R. Martin's, like, sitting there saying, okay, this is how my story works, it's like, we don't really, there's not really much to complain about there, you know?
Well, what I think it is, this is just my dumb, trailer park redneck mind going to places. What I think it is, I think a lot of these actors and actresses that are people of color, they understand how profitable it is, and for especially for future roles, for them to say something like this, because you see it in almost every single movie and TV show. It's like so and so says racist trolls can eat their ass. I feel like that they do this because it makes future roles way more prevalent for them. I think it's a PR thing. I don't think that anybody actually
Mm.
said anything, and I don't think he actually gives a damn. So it's just PR for future work, in my opinion.
I
Right.
feel like
It's just an
PR is
excuse to get an
becoming
article out.
Exactly.
I feel like PR and activism is so much more prevalent in today's like world of like media and like pop culture that it's beyond ever than what it was. And I mean, it kind of always was there. Like for example, like after 9/11 happened, like you couldn't turn on Disney Channel without the American flag being waved around and whatnot. But like it's definitely more apparent than it's ever been in the past 10 years for sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's
But
not enough just to put work out or to put shows or films out. It's like you need a reason for it to trend.
It also kind of ruins activism too, because remember in 2013, everyone was like protesting Wall Street, and Occupy Wall Street was a huge thing where like no one really thought left versus right. It was very much like, we know what the big banks are doing, we know what Wall Street's doing, let's fight against this. And then like 2 years later, everyone sort of forgot about it.
Oh, I was talking about that earlier. Actually, I mentioned that in a recent video of mine where I was like, I noticed that in 2012, it was all, Occupy Wall Street, and there was protesters everywhere. And then in 2020, it's the same exact buildings and the same exact street, but it's like JP Morgan sponsored Pride Month, and everybody's in like bikinis and like
And like
underwear with rainbow flags. And I'm
and
like,
like Chase Banks in the
And
background.
like,
yeah.
corporations.
Yeah, it's literally
yeah.
it's people being manipulated because there's people that work in the PR departments for Amazon, and they're like, you know what, these dumbasses will really eat up. Let's say hashtag LGBTQ and make a rainbow thing.
You know what?
And they
It's
know
okay
people will eat it up because they're dumb as hell.
Yes, it's okay. Let's go to war, you guys, because it's okay because at least the nukes are being dropped by a woman of color this time, and she's a lesbian.
If they're rainbow nukes, yeah.
If they're
a
rainbow
nuke
nukes,
has
it's
a
perfectly fine.
trans flag on it. It's all good.
Like activism is basically being used for corporations and warmongers to get away with the same stuff they've been doing for years and years and years, but now they can paint it in pretty colors. That's all it is. They basically found new marketing.
So the Game of Thrones prequel series, which premiered, this is a little bit of an old article, but it takes place 172 years prior to the events of the original show, Game of Thrones, and it dives into the history of the iconic Targaryen house. So do you think it fits in? Like, were there black people around at the time of Game of Thrones? Like, does this make sense? Like,
It's isn't it its own world? Like it's its own like
Yeah, yeah.
so like I don't
So
really
okay.
think it matters.
it
I
doesn't.
don't
Yeah,
really
it does not matter at all. It's completely. It could totally work, which is why it doesn't bother me at all. If it's a
And by
fictional
that, I
thing.
mean like geographically. Like,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
technically, well, he's from a place called Valyria, and like there's I feel like I read that there's a backstory reason to why his skin is dark, but I'm not really sure. But again, like it's technically Game of Thrones is based out of like you know stuff that's happened in like London and Scotland and stuff. It's based off of that lore, kind of, from what I remember reading like 10 years ago. I could be completely wrong about this, but so that wouldn't make sense, I guess, maybe. But I don't give a damn. It's all fiction, so who cares? In my opinion,
yeah.
Yeah.
as long as he doesn't say something stupid like "you're oppressing all of us and you hate me because of my skin," I'll be like, God, this son of a bitch. Like,
Is it like it's like the Miles Morales version of Thor where Chrissy, we were talking about it a few months ago where he's like making like it's just like full and just racist and just stereotypical, but yeah.
This would be a great outfit for the Renaissance Fair. I'm going in a couple weeks, so I feel like I'm just seeing the world in terms of like Renaissance outfits.
yeah, and also he looks kind of badass. Like, I just don't have a problem with it. He looks cool, and
He does look cool.
he's a
If
good
they
actor, and
use if they
whatever.
use his skin color as a way to like again, it's kind of like what they do with the Miles Morales thing, where it's the Miles Morales version of Thor, and they
Mm.
used like when he said
Oh
things like
my god.
by the power of my fade, and he's like wearing like he's wearing Timberlands. I'm just like, what the heck's going on
Oh
here?
wow.
And Mjolnir had like graffiti on it. It's like
Yes.
this is what like 20-year-old white women like coming out of college think black culture is. They think it's just like graffiti, robbing, big shoes,
And
fades, and
expensive
like
sneakers.
jewelry. And I'm like, gosh, that seems more racist to me than
It
anything.
is.
But it's
It
fine,
is.
whatever.
It's kind of like people saying She-Hulk is supposed to be this feminist icon, but it's like, do you on it like if you wrote She-Hulk and think this is like gonna be empowering for women compared to like so many other Marvel characters that have already existed, that's kind of a slap in the face to women because you're basically saying if She-Hulk is the face of powerful women, you're basically saying that all women's personality is chalked up to is an RBG bobblehead and Captain America's butt on a screensaver getting shots after work, which
Yeah.
is I think more offensive than anything. Like you got these amazing female characters in Marvel like Gamora, Black Widow, um fortunately it's Pepper from Iron Man. It's actually unfortunately it's hard to find really good Marvel characters they did well because of just going down the drain
Yeah.
unfortunately, but there
This
are
is
amazing female characters that they can write amazing backstories and personalities for. They just don't want to because they're lazy.
so Toussaint explained that people of his hue were a huge part of history, adding, "We didn't just turn up here in the 70s or the 60s." Toussaint reminded people that the show is not intended to be exactly like the book, and he admitted that he didn't even read it before starring as Lord Corlys. "George Martin sent us all signed copies of the book. I was going to read it, and then I thought, no, what I have to represent is what they've written in the script," he explained. My God, that's pretty lazy, honestly. Like the least you could do is, read the fucking book
That's
of the
kind of what
thing.
Jason Isaacs did with Harry Potter and his part as Lucius Malfoy. Like he changed a lot of his own character, but now that character is actually more iconic than the Lucius
Yeah.
Malfoy in the book. So
He said
we'll
they're
see.
going to take liberties with it for dramatic purposes, so I didn't want to read his interpretation or know what happened to my character. The first episode of the 10-part spin-off series hit the streaming service of the weekend, blah 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 blah. Despite criticism, Toussaint explained he's taking it all in stride. Yeah, of course, because he's getting that bank.
I guarantee you that the criticism he got is like in the form of one or two troll messages, and that is it. And he's
Yeah.
compared to the 8 billion people on Earth, and that this is why this article exists, and it's only existing to help this current like Daily Mail and whoever makes their articles for clicks. It also helps him in getting future roles and getting more
Right.
money for acting roles. When in actuality, none of this is actually done because he's like proud or wants to help other black actors. It's all done in personal gain for him and those PR firms and everybody that's doing it. It has nothing to do with actually helping people because no one actually likes to help people. Let's be honest. So,
Yeah.
in my
Unfortunately.
opinion.
Oh, I like to help people. Love you guys. Thank you for the chats. Thank you for the comments. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Bye. All right. Love you guys. God, I don't even want to leave. This candle smells so good. I don't want to leave. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye. Love you all. Join the Discord. Feet. Love you all. Wow. You guys are awesome. Come and get it. Bye, guys. Bye. Now I'm really leaving. Love you. Bye.